For more than 30 years, I served as a federal prosecutor under 9 attorneys general, Republicans and Democrats alike. Each of them, no matter their politics, upheld one principle: no one is above the rule of law. But lately you hear it everywhere: the rule of law is under attack. But what does that really mean, and what happens when it fails? The rule of law isn't about politics. It's about something deeper: the promise that we all live by the same laws we create together. It means that no one, not presidents, not prosecutors, not the powerful, gets to make up their own rules. No one is above the law. It may sound abstract, but it's what guarantees the rights and freedoms we all depend on. Because just as no one is above the law, no one is beneath its protection. The rule of law means the same rules apply to everyone, and those rules are public, predictable, and enforced by independent courts. It means those in power are bound by laws, not by their own desires. In short, the law, not the person with the most power, is the highest authority. None of this is theory for me. I've seen the rule of law at work up close. Over 3 decades as a federal prosecutor, I served under 9 attorneys general, Republicans and Democrats alike, before the current Attorney General took office. Administrations came and went, and sure, in the lunchroom we debated politics like everyone else, but politics stopped at the lunchroom door. When we investigated corruption, we followed the evidence, wherever it led. Democrats, Republicans, we prosecuted them both. Every case, every indictment, every plea agreement had to pass the same 3 tests. Was it supported by the evidence? Was it lawful? Was it fair? That shared allegiance to law, not ideology, is what allowed us to trust one another and seek justice together. The rule of law held us together as prosecutors, just as it holds our nation together when politics threaten to pull us apart. The rule of law is built into the safeguards of our legal system. When career prosecutors apply the law to the facts and decide there's no probable cause to pursue charges, that's the rule of law. When a grand jury declines to return an indictment, that's the rule of law. When a judge dismisses an indictment because the law was misapplied, that's the rule of law. These safeguards are boundaries that keep power from being abused. Together they protect our freedoms. They give us confidence that justice is fairly delivered, based on facts, not favor. So what happens when the rule of law is undermined? Justice becomes arbitrary, driven by the whims of those in power, not by reason or system. Critics are investigated without cause. Loyalists receive special treatment. Rights turn into favors, doled out to the loyal, denied to the rest. The rule of law isn't just a legal concept. It's the difference between trust and fear. When the law loses its meaning, power fills the vacuum. The strong don't have to argue their cases, they simply act. The weak don't appeal to rights, they plead for mercy. Once people lose faith that laws mean what they say, democracy begins to fray. And the undermining of the rule of law rarely ends with one act of lawlessness. The first breach creates a precedent. Others see the law can be ignored without consequence. Each new violation becomes easier, more routine, more justified. When government stops following its own rules, corruption spreads downward. Cynicism replaces civic duty. The result? Political turmoil and personal insecurity. You can't speak freely when you don't know whether tomorrow's decision will depend on the law or someone's favor. That's what happens when power replaces principle. The rule of law is the quiet hero of every democracy. It's what lets us argue about policy without fearing the system itself. It's what lets ordinary people stand before the most powerful government on earth and still expect fairness. The rule of law doesn't belong to one party or another. It doesn't belong to any one person, no matter how powerful. It belongs to all of us. And that's why on this channel, I'll be returning to it again and again. Because where law rules, justice follows.